I am a first generation student. By that I mean I'm the first person in my family, my nuclear family, to get education or to get Western education. My mom is late, so it's just myself, my younger brother, and my dad. And then I'm also the first child of two siblings. I wouldn't say I've always been fascinated to study history. I wanted to be an ambassador. I wanted to be an ambassador of Nigeria in China. The people I spoke to then, they said, oh, you have to read history and international relations, or you have to read history and diplomatic studies. I was like, okay, history then, that's what we'll do.
I am interested in history of medicine, public health and media. I am interested in using media to address or confront health challenges in Africa.
I chose University of Mississippi for my MA because this is really an amazing program. The faculty members, the resources on campus, it's something different from what I'm used to. I'm this kind of person that I like to dare. When I come into a space and you tell me, oh, things has always been done this way, so you have to move from point A to B and then C before you arrive at D. So I would come in and then I would try to figure out how do I coming from point D, C, B, and A, and still achieve the same result. So that has been me. I don't know how that works, but that has been like a major driving factor for me.
I met Sochima indirectly. That's what I would put it. I met him indirectly at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. We both had our undergrad from the same university. When I finally gained admission into the University of Mississippi as a history student, first year master student, and then because I already have a kind of a familiar knowledge of Sochima, and he was one of the few people that I reached out to. He's someone that is very focused because we have done a course together, even though he was ahead of me. The way he speaks in class, the way his contribution, his level of intellectual ability in class.
The very first time I met him, I think it was at an orientation, and my first impression of him was a very determined guy who was willing to ask questions, to know more, very curious. Because I remember very well that we were trying to find seats at the time. We hadn't met before. Most of his questions were sort of he was always trying to know more. So basically that was the very first impression I had of him, a very determined gentleman.
My first impression about the University of Mississippi wasn't a bad one.
The year that Sochima started our program was my second year as the graduate program coordinator, but he was the first international student that I had the responsibility of onboarding in our department, and it was a pretty bumpy ride, but he was very gracious. So I remember when he first came to campus, I met him at orientation. He was really charming and eager and ready to hit the ground running.
It was a very welcoming environment. The academic system is very different. It's in no way the same with what I was used to. It's a sharp divide. And then when I came here, I struggled a lot. I struggled so much. I tried to adjust, and I was the only African in my cohorts, so I struggled with accent. I struggled with the readings.
When Sochima actually started taking classes, there were some moments of, confusion, some moments of transition about, when graduate students are all together and having to read, several books a week and then talk about them in a way that sounded confident and insightful, that Sochima at first was potentially a little overwhelmed by that transition, right? Just sort of the demand on his time.
The first week of my resumption, I called everybody that I knew. I told them that I wasn't gonna do this anymore. The reason I didn't go back to Nigeria after my first week is because I didn't have flight money. I couldn't afford flight tickets because it got to a point where I didn't care about what the world would say again. I didn't care about whether I would disappoint my mentors, I would disappoint my family, or if my program here would be like, oh, we spent a lot bringing you here. I got to that no more. I got to that diminishing return. I said, I'm not doing it again. family-wise, everything was going backwards. And then academically, I'm in a new environment, new culture, new people, new academic system. Everything was just not working. Every point I considered leaving, every point. But I was doing it afraid. I kept on doing it afraid. And I didn't know. That's why today I would say that my mantra in life is do it afraid.
I remember being really impressed that rather than shrink from that responsibility or disappear, right, sort of cower at the new challenge, that instead he was really proactive about reaching out to ask for help, to figure out, you know, what he was supposed to be doing to prepare for class, what does good preparation look like, how can he make sure he's putting his best foot forward with his faculty members. And I feel like it wasn't long after, you know, he got going in that first semester and got some extra support that he really emerged as one of our standout graduate students really early in the program.
One of those days, I decided I was not going to do this again. I need to go. I'm done. I went to the HOD of my department, the chair. I went to her and I said, like, Prof, I'm no longer happy with what I'm doing. I don't want to continue this. What I really want to do is film.
Yeah, I would say, you know, the discipline of history and especially graduate training in the U.S. is in a moment of transition right now, where many programs are moving away from, you know, exclusively demanding a kind of written thesis, kind of research piece, to allowing a kind of broader portfolio of creative work to kind of count towards a graduate degree. And so I was really excited when he came and expressed his first semester his interest in doing some sort of work in film. And that's unusual. I mean, it's the first student I've worked with in this program where I really wanted to develop that expertise. Not only as a kind of parallel project, but find ways to kind of blend it into kind of more conventional historical research. So I think it was really exciting, and it was an opportunity for history to kind of deepen its relationship with the Southern Studies program on campus, which at the moment houses the kind of coursework in documentary filmmaking.
I walked into her office afraid. I was saying it afraid. And I expected her to be so angry. But to my greatest surprise, she brought out her laptop. She didn't even allow me to finish. She brought out her laptop. She started researching on filmmakers within and around Oxford. She started connecting me to them. She said, this festival is happening here. This screening is happening here. Meet this person. Reach out to this person. She started connecting to all of them. And she said, look, we have the Southern Studies department. You can take some courses with them. You can do this with them. Do that. I left her office renewed, energized, and rejuvenated. It's always good that people do what they have passion for. It's always good, no matter what the world is saying, make sure you do what you have passion and interest for. Because you know what? There will be times of difficulty, there will be challenging times. There will be days you wake up, you don't want to even move. But it is the passion you have for that hunger would keep you going. As much as I was struggling, I later realized that the problem is that I haven't found happiness or fulfillment in what I was doing. Yes, there was this whole, you're in America, you are, everyone is looking up to you, you are doing amazing. I'm doing amazing. That's on media, that's on screen, that's on social media. But how about within? How about inside? No one knows the pressure.
Studying in the US has given Sochima that exposure and that platform for interdisciplinary study. And I think interaction with faculty, interaction with fellow students, people who share the same passion has really broadened his horizon, and having those resources to really get his passion out to pursue his visions and ambition.
In the summer of 2024, I would travel to Nigeria to make my first single film. was making a stain of red, I wasn't making a stain of red to start bagging award with a stain of red. I just wanted to tell a story. I also wanted to add filmmaker to my portfolio because I love films. I want to tell powerful stories. So when the awards started coming in, I mean, within the space of 2 months, I've gotten like 3 different awards. One is William Winter Scholars, which is the most significant award in the state of Mississippi. The second one is College of Liberal Arts Creative Showcase, where a stain of red emerged the second position. The third is Graduate School Council Research and Creative Showcase as well. So in each of these awards, it's a reminder that I'm just getting started.
You can talk all you want. If results are provided, that's his argument, and that's it. And so when we see these results, it tells us that yes, young people who are dreaming along this pipeline can, and this is an even interesting specialty because it's a combination of history and media, which is something that I had never heard before except through Sochima, right? And so this one tells us that if your idea is unique or isolated in any way, it is still possible. And number 2, that once you have an idea, the next is execution. The way you execute it also matters. And I know that Sochima is hardworking. In addition to that, has excellence, and we can never be completely perfect, but if you use that as a benchmark, you get something close to perfection, which I think is something that is important for the young people to know.
Out of the 3 awards, I clinched second position in 2. But I need to clinch on first. So there are a lot of things I can actually still do. So for me, the awards, it's, when you are doing things, you never really know who is watching. You never really know the lives you are touching. And also, you never really know how far it can take you. Because I produced the Stain of Red in Nigeria, in a small Nsukka city, vibrant city but small, when you're comparing it to where I am right now. I didn't know that something that I would create from there would be what the world would be interested to talk about, would be what the world would love so much. My film has been screened at Florida International University. My film has been screened at Clark Atlanta University. I was there at Africana Digital Humanities Convening, where I talked about my film. My film has been screened so many times here on campus at the University of Mississippi, both in colloquium, a panel discussion organized by African Caribbean Student Association, where I was, I had the privilege to talk about my film and get some questions. So what I would say is that these awards and the ones that are still coming, because I know it's not just, this is not the end. It's a reminder that I can do a lot. The only person that can stop me is me, no one else.
What Sochi is doing and the stories he's creating, to some degree, are currently all centered on Africa, if I can put it that way. Stain of Red was produced, directed, everything happened in Africa, and then it was shown to the world, and the world is buying into the idea, right? And so that brings in the concept I was saying, that we are now in a global world, a global market. You can be anywhere and produce impact from any corner of the world. And so I believe that this environment has provided Sochi with the tools, the resources, the support, if you can put it that way, to achieve the things that he has set to achieve and that God is helping him to achieve. But at the same time, the kind of results that he's producing are not region specific. They transcend beyond the US, and I've seen that they are going even into Africa and other continents. And so with that, the concept of brain drain is already broken.
We talk about unemployment every day. So if I was doing something and now I left, I create the space for another person to take up that position. So it is now pretty much a brain drain, but it's also more or less a creation of like me creating a space for someone.
The idea of brain drain is a kind of people using their skill, leaving their countries, using their skill to work in another country. Now, but the question or the first thing you should ask yourself, what actually made somebody to leave his country? If the country you are in isn't giving you the opportunity to bring out the best in you, what is the reason, or why will you stay in such a country? So I think the idea of brain drain is, I don't know, is quite overrated. Because if I am not valued in my country, if the ideas I have, there is no facility to bring it out, to be able to use it to develop myself and to be able to use it to impact the nation, the best option for me is to leave. So if I leave and find facilities, find environment that support my growth, support my development, I think it's not just for my own good. I should also use it to help the country that I am in. On the other hand, that does not mean that, oh, later on in the course of my life, I wouldn't go back to my country to use it as well. But for now, I think for Sochi, he is using his skill he has in the environment that gave him that opportunity to develop it. But I believe maybe in the nearest future, he can still use it back in the country where he's coming from for his development. So it's a two-way thing.
Initially, I've always had the belief that as we move away from our country, we are sort of causing this brain drain. And obviously, if you are moving from one place to the other side, you are obviously going to be a gain to the other side. But over the years, I've come to understand his reasoning, and I can conclude that he's a bit of both, if I can say. So, in the sense that he is not a loss entirely to his country of origin, but he is a gain to both his country of origin and to the country that he's currently doing his studies, which is the United States of America. We can use his feature film, which is the Stain of Red, as an example. It is not only being aired in the US, even though he was doing most of his studies here. He actually went back home, had the whole documentary or the film with his own people, which in effect will be benefited by both parties. So I don't think I think he's a brain gain to both countries.
Sochima is a young man that the world, can't wait to have his amazing project, right? And because of the things he does things that can benefit anyone from any part of the world, right? His debut project, The Stain of Red, has been screened in different platforms, right? And everybody from all parts of the world has watched it, right? So in terms of brain drain, I wouldn't say much about that. But I know that he's someone that is set to impact the world wherever he is. So it's just a win-win to whoever and to whatever country that he is, and no one is lacking.
It feels so real. It feels, I can't even describe it. It's so indescribable. I know that my joy knows no bound. First, I'm finishing with an international degree. Trust me, the next phase is even bigger.
Samson Oklobia.
Very big, and I am so happy. That's why when I talk about, when I reminisce or when I sit down to reflect on the journey so far, I can only thank God. I'm thanking God for God. I'm thanking Him for being God, because I have moments where I backslided in my faith, but He didn't judge me. He didn't turn His back against me. He kept on pushing me. He's still pushing me, and He will continue to push me. And He didn't fail to bless me with wonderful people. He didn't fail to bless me with awesome people.
I am so excited to read Sochima's first book when it comes out. I can't wait to see Sochima's award-winning documentaries. I also I feel like I can't even anticipate the creative ways that he's going to figure out how to merge his interests and his passions as a historian, and also as a person who wants to communicate his findings to an audience that's not just confined to academic readers. So I know he's going to be so successful beautiful, and I can't wait to see exactly what it looks like.
I mean, I study the past, not the future, so I wouldn't want to make firm predictions about what his future will be, but I think his future will be a lot of what he chooses. I mean, he can adapt to lots of different situations and has a lot of really valuable skills in a lot of different areas, and I think could do many, many different things. And I'm excited to see what it is.
I think Soshima is going to be a really dynamic historian because he's looking outside of the traditional ways in which historians practice and present their research. And I think that's actually what the field of history needs to be doing in order to ensure our relevancy moving forward. And so I think Soshima's ability to see that happen on a 100 level course will also make him a more effective historian and researcher himself, because he can see where common stories and understandings and mythologies are at for a public audience, and he'll be able to take that understanding and translate that into a new and different and dynamic way of showing people's stories in the past.
I would dedicate my degree to my late mom, Mrs. Philomena Okafor. My mom is a true definition of hard work. Sometimes it's so painful to realize that, you know, she's not here this moment to witness all of this. But I know that wherever she is, I know she's in a better place. She's looking, she's supporting me, she's always going before me. You know, I love my mom so much, and I would dedicate my degree to her. This success, it's as much as it means a lot to me, I know it even means so many things to my mother, and I love her. Mom, this degree is for you. This achievement, a stain of red, everything, all the awards is for you. I grew up in a family where people are just, we have a lot of people who are just so comfortable with what they were doing. You know, they're just so comfortable with feeding from hand to mouth, you know, just waking up to search for the daily bread, and they're okay. And then I grew up and I realized that this is not the kind of life I wanted for myself. I wanted something different. My immediate family do not have the financial capacity to see me through school. And thanks to my extended family, my uncle, Chief Godwin Okafor, and the wife, Lolo Marcelina Okafor, these people laid the foundation to who I am today. They sent me to school. They saw me through school, paid all my fees. While I was an undergraduate student, I lacked nothing. I paid my school fees in time. My house, everything was duly taken care of by my uncle and his wife. So I'm very grateful to them. And his family as a whole, his children were so supportive. Mr. Olisa Okafor, Olona Okafor, Ifeanyi Okafor, these people are so dear to my heart. In fact, Olisa Okafor is that elder brother that I never had. He has been so supportive. You know, he's always checking up on me. He's that senior brother. The age difference is so wild, but he never allowed that to be a parameter or to measure his level of love for me. So this means a lot to my family. I know my uncle is proud. I know the wife is proud. My cousins are so proud. I know my dad is also proud. You know, I recently won an award. I didn't know how to explain it to my dad because of his level of education. So I had to use someone in my community who had also gotten that kind of award that everyone respects. So I had to do you remember this kind of person? What I just gained now is the kind of recognition this other person has, and my dad was so happy. So it means a lot to my family. So for the first time, you know, there is another light coming out, I would say. There is another light coming out. There is hope coming out. I know my other cousins, my younger cousins are so excited. Everybody is happy because I'm that brother Sochi that everybody is always looking up to his return. So anyone out there with a dream, it will remain a dream as long as you are still sleeping. Why not wake up, do it afraid? Because I'm doing it afraid and I'm seeing the result. And you are the only one that can make yourself relevant to the world. Through your talent, through your craft, people would support you, but they can't carry your matter. As a Nigerian that I am, they can't carry your matter on their head like you will. So go out there, wake up from your sleep, turn your dreams to action. Turn your dreams to feasible goals. Create a roadmap, and above all, please do not leave God. I'm a Christian, not just Christian for Christian's sake. I am a testament to what God can do, and He has really manifested His glory in my life.